Yes. Let me know when you're ready. The Monkees have a song. It's called "It's Not Too Late." Who's sitting in the audience out here?
That's my oldest daughter.
Hey, is the sun blinding you over there? It used to be worse.
Move over.
Yeah, move over.
Musical chairs.
There you go.
Better.
You don't want to lose your eyesight.
Olivia, are you gonna sing the national anthem for us?
Can you sing it?
Oh.
But there's a but coming in here.
How about the Alaska flag song? Star.
How old are you now, Olivia? Oh, my daughter couldn't even sing it then. She's a vocalist. She wasn't living here until she was 14. So she wouldn't have known.
Make a beautiful choir.
There's Danny. Hello, Danny.
Sunshine. And the sunshine.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
And we're live and on the record.
Good evening. Welcome to the City of North Pole's regular city council meeting for April 15th, 2024. Brought to you live from the City Hall chambers and also on our YouTube channel. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Church has an excused absence tonight. Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Jacobson.
Here.
Mr. Skips.
Here.
Ms. Clack.
Here.
Mr. Keller. And Mayor Welch.
Here. Now, if we can please rise and stay in your place, the clerk will lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Anton will lead us in prayer. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Well, let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before thee at this time with gratitude in our hearts for the freedoms that we have within our country, for the ability that we have to have these city council meetings to discuss the needs of our local area. We ask thee to please help us receive the inspiration and revelation that we need to fulfill our tasks as stewards of the city. We ask thee to please bless the first responders, not just of our city, but of our area, that they may have safety upon them and be guided and directed. We ask thee to please bless the leaders of all nations of the world, especially in this increased turmoil, that the weapons of war and the weapons of words can be laid down, and that communication will be effective. And we say these things in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please have a seat. So we'll go to item 4. There's an action item called approval of the agenda. Motion to approve by Jacobson. I have a second. Second
Skips.
by Skips. Any discussion?
Move to amend the agenda
State your amendment.
on item 12, no new business. And item A, ordinance 25, except item B.
So a motion for A and B to be consent. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call that, please?
Did I have a second for the?
Yeah,
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, on the agenda as amended, Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Skips, Mayor Welch.
Yes.
On the agenda for the evening, Ms. Clack, Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Keller, and Mayor Welch.
Yes. Does anyone wish to change their vote? I'm looking, I see none. Thank you. We have an agenda. Let's go to an action item number 5 for approval of the minutes from the April 1st, 2024 meeting.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Keller, seconded by Clack. Is there any discussion, any additions, any subtractions, any corrections? Seeing none, Madam Clerk,
On the minutes from the, let's see, that
April
was
1st.
the April 1st meeting. Thank you. Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Welch.
Yes. Anyone wish to change? I see none. Thank you. So we have the minutes now. Congratulations, Madam Clerk, for the minutes. We go to communications from the mayor. That's me, number 6. So let me tell you, on the scant thing, there, April the 4th, I was at the Greens at night to see the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, His Honor Alex Wagner, and he is for what we call manpower and reserve, and I'll say more about him in a minute. But it was a very small meeting. It had Mayors Ward, Cruz, Welch, the wing commander, the Chief Master Sergeant of the new Space Force was there, and some of the supporting people from the 354th Wing. And as I get into communications, I'm going to share some ideas about his communication to us versus a month prior when General Schneider, Pacific Air Force Commander, was out at Eielson, what he told us. So they're telling us the same story. So I'll save that here for just a minute. Upcoming things, we have, as you've been handed out, interviews coming up this week. Have a very busy week here trying to interview with Information Insights that was being paid through a Fedco contract to look at our entities to try to compare. I'd call it strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are facing us in our communities. And so you have a copy of that. And if you see anything you think I should know about, you can share that with me or with the clerk by 1 o'clock tomorrow. So I appreciate it. And I couldn't have shared this with you earlier. Jomo Stewart actually got me the questions. That firm, Information Insights, is not a 5-day-a-week firm, so there was nothing coming from them on Thursday or Friday. So I actually had a call back today from them. So let me get into what I want you to understand, and this probably be factored into this Information Insights survey as well. General Snyder and Assistant Secretary and everybody in Department of Defense from FacePack can tell what they're most concerned about is quality of life for their airmen and their families. And I'm sure the same goes for the Department of the Army as well. They are very much attuned to the fact that we do have challenges. And now more than ever, they have challenges. And their challenges are recruiting people and retaining those that they have. It has come to a point where the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, His Honor Alex Wagner, has explained that they're even looking at, for the first time, having female combatants. That is where they're going to have to go. I want y'all to be aware of it. When we talk about quality of life, I've never seen some of the things that are available, like the Butler Fieldhouse out at Eielson, or the types of base exchange or commissary, things like of that nature. But what they want from us, as y'all probably know, is housing, but they want more of a community spirit to be inclusive of their families. There are people who actually are stationed at Eielson, and it could be even some of the top brass. It doesn't even know where this city hall is at. So in talking with Danny Wallace, Danny used to advise the garrison out at Fort Wainwright how they would do tours. And I'll let him talk about that later. But we're probably going to have to come up with, at least in the summer influx of new families coming here, how we spend an hour or two with them at least once a month for 3 or 4 months of the year. We're going to have to figure that out in conjunction with the Air Force, but it's going to have to be more than lip service. And they understand the issues of companies who are reluctant to go out and build. They understand the fiscal problems because we're all facing it together. I don't know how to explain it further, but one of the greatest problems that troubles me is the fact that we're so close to war as we are. And that is not to be ignored. And I can't state it with any great sense of authority, but I see it for what it is. And it is a very dangerous world that we're in. And so keep your eye on it. And it's going to take more than just prayers, but the hand of God is involved in this too. But it's going to take a lot more than we ever dreamed of. And our families are feeling it, and that's why they're having a retention problem too. And you imagine General Nahom, he wears 3 stars. I say he wears 1 star for every hat he has to wear. He's the 11th Air Force Commander. He's NORAD of the NORAD is the Northern Region of North American Air Defense, and he's Alaskan Air Commander. So I say for every star he has a hat that he wears, all he's really trying to do on Eielson is refurbish or rebuild new dormitories, not housing. The housing that is there that is having problems like from fire, flood, snow damage, he is repairing those. He has to. But as far as the rest of it, how we're going to get there, you know, Danny knows as well as I, we're back in touch with Latitude 63. They're taking longer to do a job down in Sydney, Australia at the Darwin Airport. They own the biggest piece of land. They could easily put in 200 or more domiciles at Brookside Park. So you know now that we've brought something to this city that is of value to this city. We're very fortunate that Senator Murkowski's office was in touch with me and Mr. Wallace 2 years ago in February in Juneau. And you see now the fruit of that is $2.5 million. It hasn't dropped into our laps, but we should have it probably by October. That $2.5 million is to defray the cost of setting up water in Brookside Park. We asked for 2.9. I think we're very fortunate. Anybody looked at the announcement, there's only 5 communities in the whole state of Alaska that got anything. So we've got that. So that's a value to this city, $2.5 million at no cost to our taxpayers. We also received a grant, $752,142, and I'll let Danny talk about that when he gives his staff report. But that is for us to look at our culverts and all to try to take care of drainage so we don't flood out. And I'll let Danny go more into that. But so altogether, so far, we have approximately $3.2 million of that, and we're still pushing forward. In other words, our contract with TBEC, Two Bear Environmental Conservation, has paid off. Finally, I'd say they've earned their keep. I'm always looking for quid pro quo. So they've earned their keep. We have spent from last year, from March 21st to December 31st, approximately $80,000 for them to help identify and help us write and put in the grants by the deadline. And so 752,000 is a good piece for us to get back. And we've received another grant, and Danny will tell you about it. I think it was 31,000, Danny. So we have received pretty close to what, you know, pretty close 10 times what we paid them. It's pretty good return on us to have had that. And they're also trying to help us get grants for our fire department. That's going to be a huge push. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you, and I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I mean council too. I have said it and I'll say it again. I said it in August at the Republican luncheon at the Westmark. I have learned in almost 6 years, expect little or nothing from the governor's office, the state of Alaska, or for the legislature for that matter of fact. Expect little or nothing from them and you'll never be disappointed because we're not getting anything really of any significance from them. How we're going to change that is going to be up to us. So with that in mind, I thought that I should share that with you tonight. It is a very dangerous world we're in, and there's a lot of challenges, but we have a good city, and we have the capability of overcoming any of these challenges as long as we stick together. I'm also going to tell you I'm wearing a shirt for the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics that will take place at Chena Lakes on May the 18th. It's 5 kilometers. It's like 3.1 miles. And if I can walk it, anyone in here can walk it. So Chief Dutra will share that with you, and you'll hear about it on our 2 May meetings as well. So I'd like to see us participate in that. And with that, I'll end my communications from the mayor and see if you have item 7, any council member questions, please. And I see no questions, so we'll close that. Madam Clerk, from citizens' comments, item 8, do we have anyone here?
I do believe we have somebody. Julie, are you here to testify? If you just want to fill out the register on the table.
Hello, Julia. Welcome. Christina told me you were going to come see me. I have found your voicemail.
Let me sign in here first.
Although Julia's
Yes.
happy to see you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Sun's coming out. We're getting close. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I wanted to circle back and talk about our upcoming event that's going to be taking place in North Pole. Well, throughout the interior, but specifically on May 10th and 11th, we're teaming up with North Pole Fire Department, North Star Volunteer Fire Department to kick off the National Sound the Alarm campaign with the Spotlight City this year being North Pole. So, what is that going to look like? It's a 2-day event where I just want to open the opportunity to you guys to either participate in the event, be a part of it, get the word out that this is going to be happening. When I saw you guys back in December, it was a small precursor to this is our bigger event that we're going to be having. And so I brought some information as well as a couple of asks. So as you can see on these flyers that I'm going to be passing out to you, Friday, May 10th from 2 to 7 p.m. and Saturday, May 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. These are the times that we're going to be doing the installs. We are hoping to come a little earlier to where we can have a little bit of a kickoff celebration around noon. We're going to be providing lunch and then just kind of going over what are some of the expectations, putting people up in teams based on the amount of clients that we have that we're able to serve. Clients being homes that we're going to be making safer by installing smoke alarms. And so that's really what this is. We teamed up with several sponsors from around the state as well as other community partners to make this happen. And I'm so excited that it's in North Pole this year because obviously it's a near and dear town to me. And just an opportunity to be able to give those in our community smoke alarms to make their home safer makes me feel a lot better. And it's a great opportunity for you, council, to also be involved and be intrinsically involved in your community if you want to sign up to also be an event-based volunteer or volunteer installing smoke alarms. I think that it would set a really good precedence with the residents in our community, getting out there and getting your hands dirty or just by showing up to the event. That would be my ask of you, as well as sharing the information, letting those in your community know that this is a free service and to take advantage of it. So I am open for questions. And if you don't mind, I would like to pass these out to you. Along with that, I'll be sending you an email that will get.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you very much. Hey, you're passing them out. I'll say that you came to my house about 5 years ago, I believe. And I think I have 11 of those that y'all put on my 3-story house. So anytime something isn't being cooked right on the stove, they all start going off. You can imagine how Miss Ino feels about that, but she's caught red-handed. But it keeps me safe. And that's important, especially a 3-story house.
Right.
Mm.
We are working with North Pole Fire Department and North Star to try to identify some of those areas in the community that are in more of need of this service. But we don't want to single anybody out. So if you know anybody who could use a smoke alarm and or get theirs tested, this is just a great time to do that. They've changed the rules a little bit this year to whereas before we could only install up to 3 based on the household size, not in terms of occupants, but like, stories or what have you. And so now we can install up to 4.
How did I get 11 then? I did.
Well,
I didn't ask
you
for it
got
either.
lucky.
Well, they
Well, I
put,
don't know. You must
well,
have a couple of stories.
well, I
in your
got
house.
3-story house and all those bedrooms, they put downstairs 5 and each of the other floors 3 apiece. So they put stairwell, bedrooms. I mean, I have 6 bedrooms. I have a huge house.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also based on the size of the home. And so
Yeah.
what we are doing also, if you guys are interested, we're doing what we call smoke alarm 101s. The next few weekends where we're inviting the fire department to come out just to talk to our volunteers and staff about proper placement of smoke alarms in homes so that when we get out there, we're not just going to somebody's, sacred space and, having folks that just signed up to be volunteers for that day, drill holes in people's walls. We want it to be, a good use of our time and of our resources. And so
Have you been to KJNP?
I have
I
not.
will. Have you not?
I have not.
I'll go there in your absence if you don't get a chance. But I go the first Saturday for sure. I sometimes go even more often, so, but at least the first Saturday of the month I go there. So I'll make sure that Dick Olson knows about this. He makes that announcement. And these have a good contact number on here?
Yes, you can contact Alexis Blake. She's our disaster program manager. She's going to be taking names and signups. And so reach out to those folks that you know in the community with a loud voice who can share the message. I would greatly appreciate it. And we're just going to continue to do what we can. Now, if folks aren't able to sign up on these dates, people are out of town, people are of work, that's still no reason to sign up for a smoke alarm service. We do it throughout the year. This is just an annual event that we do just to really sound the alarm that this is a service that we're providing. And so we like to get as many homes as we can serviced. So that's my ask of you, council.
Council members, while Julia's here, ask her questions.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Already has a smoke.
That is incorrect. If you have a smoke alarm in your home, we would gladly go in there and test it for you to make sure that it's functioning properly. And also if you are somebody who's hard of hearing or you maybe have smoke alarms in your home, but you maybe don't see well, there's alternatives that we have, such as a bed shaker and or strobe light. Those are things in our community that we're trying to get the word out to, because even though you might have a functioning smoke alarm, if you can't hear that it's going off, that's a problem. And so there's other alternatives that we can do to help service that.
I'm thinking of, we
individual.
have a senior housing complex in North Pole, Holiday Heights, which have residents in 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s there that we do have smoke alarms in their apartments, but I like the idea of maybe strobe lights or things like that that may help some of the residents who would be not able to hear the alarm if they take out their hearing aids and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you know that residents in that apartment complex could use this service, please have them sign up. It's free.
Okay.
And it takes less than 10 minutes. You know what I mean? For us to do the paperwork and get it installed. And if it's at the cost of saving somebody's life, we'll get somebody out there to do it.
That's the bed shakers. I didn't even know you had those.
Yes, we have
Okay.
bed shakers and we have strobes. Yes.
I had a question.
I'll go now. These guys are excellent. What really impressed me about these individuals, I had an all-female team come
I
in,
did.
okay? And they did excellent. Of course, I gave them a couple of hints of what they should and should not do, but they did excellent. And I want a bed shaker and a strobe light.
Okay.
But they were very well and they were very professional and they interviewed me also. Remember?
Yes, and you were on a Wells Fargo commercial. Did you
Oh,
ever
was
see
I?
it?
I didn't see it.
Okay, we'll have to show it to you later.
Okay.
Getting
Um,
no royalty.
I just want to once again emphasize that our spotlight city this year is North Pole. So I'd love to see the council out there and I can send you all an email. I'll get with Emily to help facilitate that. But if you guys just even want to make an appearance at the event where we thank our sponsors and our partners and send out everybody off in teams, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you yourself are interested in participating and installing smoke alarms, just reach out to me and I'll get you hooked up with a drill and get you informed.
Ms. Clack wants to ask you a question.
And you pretty much answered it. So you were saying that you would like for us to be able to participate. So what do you mean by participating? To help put the drills up? Okay, or help with paperwork for people signing up? What part of the participation are you asking?
Well, I guess it just depends on you and your time. So if you can spare an hour to be at the event while we do the kickoff ceremony, that would be greatly appreciated. If you really want to get your hands dirty and be more involved, which I encourage you all to do, then reach out to me and I can get you set up at maybe a smoke alarm 101 class that we have and go over the briefing of how we do this process. And we can get you out on a team and you can go out and install smoke alarms in your community.
Okay, thank you, Julie.
Anybody else? Sir, through the chair here. Yeah. I'm trying to recognize who you are for the record.
Clinton Summers.
Clinton, good to see you again.
Exterior as in outside the home?
Well, they're attached to the home, but they're as.
And-
Embarrassing.
Uh,
It's really helpful in terms of.
Unfortunately, we do not. However, when we do smoke alarm installs, there's an education portion that goes along with it. And so within that education portion, we talk to the client to help identify a safe place outside the home so that if and when there was a fire, they know that everybody out in the home is going to go to that specific location so they can help identify them if there was an emergency. And it also helps our firefighters locate those in the home. And that education, I feel like is just as important
Right,
as
absolutely.
well.
I think you can get a grant.
I'll look into it. We do work with other community partners in some rural areas when we do smoke alarm installs to install CO monitors. Unfortunately for this event, that's not within our scope, but more or less just trying to identify those in the community who could utilize this service.
Is this a good number to contact you? 419-4718?
Yes, that is Alexis Blake. She's our DPM. That's her phone number, and she's the one who's going to be taking in all the client names. And so you're going to get on a list, hopefully sooner than later, so that we can put you, figure out where what clients' homes are located in what area, so that we can build teams to send them out there. So we have a little bit of an organized structure going into this. So that's what I hope.
I was
We'll see.
interested in the Smoke Alarm 101 class.
Yes, and so I will send you guys an email, but
Okay,
just as you have it here, we are doing a smoke alarm install this Saturday, the 20th, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 at the American Red Cross office. Additionally, if you want to know more and have a snack, we have our interior potlucks, and those are every third Thursday of the month. This month, we are doing an overview of Sound the Alarm. And so if you have any availability this Thursday from 6 to 7:30, we're doing a potluck at the Red Cross as well, where we're going to be talking about sound the alarm. And those are open to the community. They're open to community partners, volunteers, and staff. And each month I try to switch it up with some kind of learning opportunity or training for everybody who wants to be involved.
I have a question on the 20th and 11. Where is your office at?
My office is located at 3501 Lathrop Street, Suite G. It's in the Gray Industrial Complex next to Hoarfrost Distilling.
Okay, because it doesn't say on here where you're at. And I was trying to imagine if anybody asked about that, so I could tell them exactly where you're at. I know we could call the number, but it's kind of nice to know.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Like I mentioned, I will send you guys an email to let you know all this information. There is also one more smoke alarm 101 training event that's going to be taking place, and that's May 4th. So if you can't make the 20th, try to make the 4th. And at that particular training, we're going to have North Star Volunteer Fire Department come in and do a little fire science 101 as well. So it's going to be a really good time. I hope that you guys take an opportunity to think about being involved.
That also at 11 o'clock?
Yes. The
Okay,
May
May
4th
4th.
is also from 10 to 11:30, and I will double check and I will make sure
At the
that,
Red Cross, right?
yes,
Okay.
at the Red Cross building.
Just a different time.
Oh, it's, yep, 10 to 12 and then 10 to 12.
Thank you. Makes sense because it's a little longer.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie. Any more questions from Ms. Swisher while we have her here? Who did you bring with you?
This is my daughter, Stormy. We
Stormy.
just came over here from Girl Scouts. So I'm a troop leader for 215. And so I had to skip out of my Girl Scout meeting a little bit early to make it here on time. But
Thank you for
Thank
coming to the council, and I'll tag up with you later.
yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
sun.
Again.
And it's good to see you again.
Yes, of course.
Madam Clerk, anyone else here?
Do we have anybody else for public comment tonight?
Yes.
You're welcome to sign up there on the register.
Right there, Mr. Summers.
You're just on time.
Bye, Stormy.
Shopping days left.
Clint Summers,
Okay.
citizen. And I just had a couple of quick questions before I go on to deal with other people that make it run right. So my question was, have y'all ever offered up or been presented with a North Pole trolley, zip around town for free? Safeway, Santa Claus House.
So we offered one up. Did you?
Has there ever been one?
No, there has not, but my director and I have explored if we could even get one, and what we would have to have, even on a limited basis, liability insurance to have one too.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you open to that or was that tabled?
Oh, it didn't table. It was something that we informally discussed between me as the office of the mayor and my director of city services to be able to take military families and all around to get a tour of the city, especially in the
Cool.
summer months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So they could see where everything's at.
Okay. So I found some grants that would pay for that, both Department of Agriculture, because though we're a small community and some sees that as a negative, it's like astronomically good for grant people. Because we qualify under every census populace demographic to get every grant you can believe we could get. But anyway, one was for a trolley, and the Department of Tourism also has a grant for that.
Department of Tourism, are you talking about? At what level? Do you know? State level or?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Tourism Economic Development. And it would qualify as tourism for North Pole under that alone. It could be electric and propane powered. So it also qualified for other grants under the new REACT and the REA grants that are available. Then the other one was, has DOT asked of North Pole to have a transportation center?
What DOT do? I'm on the policy
State.
board, state level.
Correct. Like they're getting a new center in Fairbanks, and there's talk of building a smaller one in Delta that had heard of. And there are grants available if we could build one here, and it could be a transportation center hub for Delta, Salta, Fairbanks. There's a lot of people out here. I drove around that didn't have facility vehicles to get back and forth to medical. And
And I'll take that under advisement when I'm with the policy board on Wednesday to see if there's action on that. I believe we're coming under the Fairbanks North Star Borough for the whole area though.
correct, they would have to manage all the funding. And
I don't
one,
know if you know how the policy board works.
no,
I'm the only representative for
I'm a
the,
newbie. So
yeah, I'm the only representative for the city.
I just know there's not a whole lot of people helping.
What they're trying to do for us here, just locally, so that you'll know, is they're helping us to put in covered bus stops now for people not to stand out, hunkering down in the cold with their hands in their pocket, but they can sit down outside of the wind and the snow and the rain.
Right.
So that we saw the need for that, and so we're pressing forward with that.
There's some that are electric and solar powered bus stops that are heated. And there's even a project that went to where if 3 people grabbed hands and touched that box, all their energy would heat that little cube up. But it wasn't commercially viable. Transportation center, you can get grants through Department of Agriculture, urban communities. If you have your hub for buses, taxis, private, and then up above in the offices, you have medical facilities for primary care physicians, pediatrics and geriatrics. And then that would, the whole project qualifies for funding with none matching at present for such a facility. And so the bizarre thought from Citizen Summers is that there's an igloo that's 4 stories tall down towards Anchorage on the left-hand side, and they want $1 million for it. And it was at one time a great thing and a gas stop. But under those guidelines and working with solar skin and solar facilities, you could still have that large a facility. It would have electric buses and vehicles, so you would have 0 emissions within that facility, the bottom 2 being covered, similar to a train yard in Europe, be a little larger than what we have for bus facilities here. And you'd have medical facilities atop it. And so those that can't, don't, or won't travel, then they can just go upstairs and see the pediatrics they got to see every few months for 2 or 3 years, or geriatrics got a heart deal. They got to come in every week for eye pressure or something, there's just, but they don't need to be going everywhere for all this. Or that's where I've taken people. And it's just like 10 minutes of their time for this physician, but it's like 1.5 hours of our time getting them to that medical appointment.
Does anybody on the council have questions for Mr. Summers?
I asked for that.
Okay.
That's it.
So, questions or you could leave with us anything that you want to as well.
Okay, I don't have it with me tonight, and I'm gonna work with Danny and
Danny's
Tricia
gonna give
Moore.
you his card right now.
Yeah, he gave me that, and I haven't gotten enough of my project on paper to present to him, but I just was wanting a heads up kind of versus working on something 4 to 6 weeks with Danny and then go, oh, we're not gonna do that. We already tried that.
All right,
There was an economic development phone number in the 2016 book, but there's not any such facility in North Pole that I'm aware of.
if you stick around, for, project updates, he'll be giving an update for the 18th which is Thursday. Have something started.
We don't have
Let's
the
do it.
corporation anymore that dissolved.
We don't have the corporation. It
Okay,
was, it lost its traction.
back in Fedco days.
Has nothing to do with,
Okay,
has to do with this.
I got you. I'm just making bad jokes. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
That's
you.
all I was really-
Clint.
Thank you.
And I have no other citizens signed up for comment unless there's anybody else that's,
Else, any comments? Seeing none. Citizens' comments are now closed. And we're moving on at 39 past the hour. We're going into item 9, department heads. Trish, I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. I passed out the interest in the sales tax columns. I think I'm going to have to take off a year and just look at 2 years, but I'll play with it around. And that figure you mentioned, Jeff, I know that's not right, so I'll resend this. Michelle was working on the bank rack today. I think she finished it, but I just want to make sure before I send you guys financials. And if I would have sent it tonight, it would have been right before this meeting anyway. So we are in full swing with the audit. We've talked to the folks from Juneau again today, and I'll be off next week. And so they're planning to hit us pretty hard the following week. And we'll have people on site.
What week is that?
The
starting?
week of the 29th.
Okay.
The last week in April, and then they'll just keep continuing on after that.
You're pretty well on track to get us finished up by before.
Well, it's
June?
just really starting, but they're very aware of the date.
Yeah, okay. So Chief Heineken doesn't have BB's here to get that through. Where the money he gets from Medicare, Medicaid for our ambulances. Anybody got a question of Ms. Fogarty? Any concerns? Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to that update. So, Danny, you want to go next?
Hello, everyone. The mayor said a lot of the things that I was going to talk about as far as some of the grant successes that we had. And I did send this out to all the council members, just in case someone in Safeway asks you, what's the deal, what's going on? Because all of this was on the news about the Protect grant for $752,000. This is actually a big deal because it's the first time we've got a large grant from our efforts to gain money from the bipartisan infrastructure law, the bill. As the mayor said, Two Bears Consulting wrote and assisted the city in submitting the packet. And we anticipate there's going to be a matching funds requirement. I did look at some of the initial documentation. I think that it says that there's a 20% matching fund requirement. But there's ways to work through some of that. For example, we had a previous study that was done that was funded with grant funds. We also, some of the work for this which again, this grant that we received is focused on drainage in the North Pole area. We are going to use some in-house labor, some in-house equipment. So we think that some of that is going to count towards the matching. So we'll work through that and we'll keep you updated. Normally with these grants, they announce it and then there's sort of silence for a little while. I have contacted the grant folks and they said there is going to be more information coming out.
And is this grant for the design or the actual drainage system?
This is for the drainage system. We had a $40,000 grant from the state of Alaska last year where they actually did the design for if you're going to improve drainage in North Pole, this is what you need to do. We had that plan and we took that forward along with the application from TBEC to apply for this grant.
And so this $752,000 will be spent doing what?
Replacing culverts, digging certain areas.
Low line, flooded area.
And it doesn't cover the entire amount of money that it would take to completely solve the drainage issues, but we're going to incorporate that. So what we have to do is we kind of have to look back and see what $750,000 gets us. I think that you will see a lot of the, culverts where there were not culverts before. Ford subdivision area on the north side, we've got sort of a storage basin. We'd like to push some of that water across the road into certain areas. And again, we do have to conform to Alaska DEC requirements and how we do this. So there will be some planning embedded in this and how we go forward. But we do have sort of a shovel-ready plan for this, which is good. We still have 3 grants that are pending decision. We have a AK Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, and that is for the playground in Highway Park. We haven't heard in January. I did a presentation on this, a very short presentation on this to the grant folks from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. We haven't heard anything back from them. We also have a Department of Interior Water Smart Planning grant that is for the water main. We're still waiting to hear on that. And then we also, in February, we submitted the RAISE DOT grant. That was also for drainage improvements, but that also included an ask for a replacement dump truck. So if we did actually get that one also, we could be able to do more for drainage, but also we'd be able to replace a 1991 dump truck that we've got that works well, but again, certainly we could use that, use replacing that.
Is that through the AML
Base.
source of funds that for the dump truck?
We actually, we also put in for the AML to package with those grant efforts. That's separate from this one. This is Ray's grant. I think, and Ms. Clack, I think you signed the paperwork for that.
Yes, we did.
When we did that. But that was, that is different than AML. AML did a call for, if you need equipment, please provide us information. And again, Mr. Jacobson keyed us in on that. So this is separate. So we've got actually 2 efforts to try to get some, again, that truck replaced. We also did find a grant opportunity for the fire station, and during the next council meeting, we'll present a package for that. We have not submitted, the city has not submitted a formal packet for grants for the fire station. And so we're gonna, like I said, we'll submit a proposal for that. I'm working with Chief Heineken and we'll let you know, again, the details on what that would cost, but also what the benefits would be. As the mayor said, we this year, the 2 grants we've gotten based on TVEC efforts is the cybersecurity grant for about $30,000 and then the $750,000 grant for the drainage. The other thing that I wanted to talk about under special topics was PFAS. As most of you know, there was a big announcement by EPA stating that the requirements for contaminated, the limits for contamination went from 70 parts per million, parts per trillion for PFAS down to 4 parts per trillion. So
4 or 7?
no, it went to 4.
It did go to 4.
Yeah,
Oh.
it went to 4. So we actually, we had already established a sort of an informal working group that included the Air Force and some other folks. I made contact with them last week just to kind of check in and see how things were going. And again, they've been very receptive to dialogue. Right now, it's premature to do anything. The next step in this process of how the city would comply with this is the EPA is going to run a webinar on the 30th of April, and we'll sit in on that and find out what the requirements are. I think that the city will have quite a few years, and on 3 to 5 years, to implement measures to mitigate these things. We don't have PFAS contamination in our city well water, but in the surrounding areas, surrounding wells, and even some of the wells in the city, most likely we're going to find that they're contaminated. So we are working on a plan. And like I said, that dialogue that we had over the last year with the Air Force and other key folks from DEC, that's sort of given us at least a basis to go from to ask questions and to sort of cross-talk about this issue, because this is going to be significant. But like I said, there's a lot of things we don't know. Again, that official webinar from the EPA, that's going to kind of start off the process. So for Public Works, as many of you may or may not know, the police department had a drainage backup issue where there was water flooding in the police department. I think that was on March 28th. We had all hands on deck. We even called the fire department to help out, to help us push some water out of the garage in the police department, in the older area of the police department.
That a water pipe break?
It was a backup based on pipes freezing. There was just a variety. It was, I think, as one of the police officers said, it was a perfect storm where you had pipes freezing, you had some other things that occurred that caused water to come up in the drains. We were, within the next few days, we were able to pull up the flooring. We did have a company come in and cut some of the drywall that had been contaminated. The smell initially was bad, but it wasn't, again, we did get after it. Maybe not as quick as we would like to, but we did get after it. Again, these things don't happen that often. But if you go to the police department right now, all of the contaminated drywall has been removed. The flooring has been removed. Some of the cabinets that got wet. And so we're looking at ways forward. That's sort of phase one when we've done the mitigation. The actual construction, we're looking at, we've gotten at least one bid so far on the construction part of it. We've been in contact with our insurance. There's a $10,000 deductible. And we're trying to ensure that our actions don't do anything to decrease our eligibility for insurance to cover this. But we're still working through that process. This is
Your actions, meaning that if we file a claim, we won't get insurance in the future, or what we're doing now won't be covered by insurance?
what we are trying to make sure that the things that we pay for are going to get covered by insurance. So we don't commit to anything that's sort of out of the unnecessary actions that are sort of out of bounds. I can't speak to insurance coverage in the future, and if this will affect anything on that. But right now, again, we did spend a lot of time, both city labor and city efforts, that we've calculated that, and we will put that as part of hopefully as part of our deductible, because we did have to spend a lot of, there were a lot of man hours from the city's perspective that were required for that. So we are working on that, and we're actually seriously considering, and I'm talking to Chief Dutra about replacing the boiler during this project, just because the boiler itself, to mitigate and to rehab the boiler room, which got wet, you have to pull the boiler all the way out. So in doing that, the boiler's fairly old. We may actually put in a request through the council to spend funds to replace that boiler. So we're still going through the cost benefit analysis on that. We'll present that at a future meeting, but we are trying to make sure that as much, it's a bad situation, but if we can do some things for the future of the police department, we're looking at that.
Does that boiler heat both the police department and city hall?
No, they're
Just
separate.
police.
There's separate ones. And actually there's two boilers over because there's a new, for the COVID wing, for that new addition, there's a natural gas boiler there. And then we have the older one in the original city hall portion.
Boiler here.
Right here in this room.
It's
Down
right,
the hall?
right past the men's bathroom on the left.
Oh, okay.
Furnace room.
So,
That's why we have some of the issues. You might remember when you were mayor that we had a thing given to us by the hospital for the air handler, and then that company was out of business. Couldn't get replacement parts. We're always robbing Peter to pay Paul around here.
But we are trying to be as efficient as we can on this. Again, this is something that doesn't happen every day. It definitely caught us by surprise. But we are looking at good options, and we're getting good support from AML, AML, is it JIA?
Mhm. Joint Insurance Association.
Through the clerk, and also working directly with them. Also for Public Works, we'll onboard our second new employee, PW assistant. We had one that came on about 2 weeks ago. And then the second one is a PW assistant, Jackie Combs. And then we're also working on interviews for summer hires. The summer hire positions close, the advertisement closes on April 18th, and then we'll do interviews after that. Cody, the Public Works Supervisor, is taking lead on that, and then we'll present some options to the mayor. The next items that we're looking at for Public Works include street sweeping and summer project planning. More to follow on both of those, but it is that time of year when you'll see, in the next few weeks, you'll see street sweepers out. We have an ongoing contract with Groundhogs for that. For the building department, no significant changes since the last meeting, although we are seeing housing submissions for review, and we do expect an increase in applications. And then for utilities, we hired a new utilities assistant. Surprisingly, it's David McBroom, who previously worked in the Public Works shop. We're very thrilled that he decided to stay with the city, but he moved from Public Works to an open space in utilities, and we're very glad to have him on board. He's going through the initial part of learning how to be a utilities assistant.
So did he leave the city employment and then came back now?
No. We had an open position because another McBroom went to the police department and from utilities. And again, wonderful to keep the good folks within the city structure. He moved, and then David McBroom, along with a few other folks, applied for that open utilities position. But as a result, we had another open public works position that we had to hire for. So all in all, we'll be back at 100% staffing next Monday. So, and open to any questions from the council.
Yes, David.
Yes, do you have any status on the CDL? As far as training for CDLs
Yes,
for the
I do.
employees?
I talked to, I talked to some of the people that will be doing the CDL training. And right now we've got 2 folks. We had planned for 4, but because of the personnel changes, it kind of made things a little bit difficult as far as filling all 4 slots. I talked to the folks today. We'll be sending 2 folks right now and possibly a third, possibly the new person coming into Public Works. But we've got 1 on utilities and we've got 1 on Public Works. Mr. Skips in Utilities Department will be going, and then Mr. Malatek from Public Works, he'll be going. And those are the 2 we have. And again, we may have a third. And I've been in contact with them. We had budgeted for that. And again, we consider it not just Class A driver's training, but also driver's training in general. So we're looking forward to sending those folks to that.
So when you say sending, where to? Or are they coming here?
They're coming here to the interior to do this, but there's a distance component, there's a Zoom component, and then there's a hands-on component. But they're actually coming up here to do the hands-on. So the folks won't have to travel anywhere except to Fairbanks. I think they'll be doing it, so some of the driving in Fairbanks.
Or are they bringing their equipment, or how?
They are providing we are paying the bill and they are providing everything. So as far as the equipment, that's the way I understand. We're not being asked to bring our own anything for that. So
I think at Fairbanks Public Works, we have 2, possibly 3 people that we could ask.
okay. I will send you you want me to send you their contact information? Because again, we did have an open, we did give up 1 to 2 slots. So, okay.
County Corpsman has a restriction on his CDL Class A because he drove.
Clark has a question.
Opposite.
Ms. Clark?
opposite.
Yeah, if you do automatic, you have restriction, you can't do manual.
Yeah.
Ms. Clark has a question, please.
What's the cost for that class?
I think it's about, it was the $5,000 per person was what
$5,000?
we
Okay.
budgeted for each department. And the reason why I hesitate is that it depended on how many people were actually ended up being in the class, and that would potentially reduce the cost, not significantly, but it would reduce the cost. And whether or not Alaska Department of Transportation would cover the instructors' fees for coming up here for their per diem and things like that. And I think they're still working that out depending on the class size.
And then,
So-
let me ask another.
Yes, please do.
And where are they coming up from?
This is a company in Alaska. So I don't know exactly. I think they're coming up from Anchorage, but I am not positive. I know that it's not a lower 48 company. It's they have AK and all of their
Their
emails. So
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Question, in regard to the summer hires, which that's closing and we're gonna make a decision. How many do we need this year? Because we've got so many things we're trying to do.
We need three. We
Okay.
need, we sat down and I talked to, the public works supervisor. Three is sufficient for what we have, especially if we're fully staffed on the public works side. Because we do have, we have,
Two new people.
we have two new people. We have one that's potentially departing. I don't think it's official that he's departing, but it's, one that's potentially
Right.
departing.
We
So,
don't know exactly when, but
Right,
it's not too far in the future.
right.
Just want to make sure we're properly staffed.
I think we'll be fine with that. And again, last year we had an intern that worked for us, did phenomenal work and did a significant amount of administrative, but also helped me paint the front doors. And also got an introduction to how the city is run. This year we opted to back off and ensure that we have enough folks to do the labor tasks that are needed for this summer.
Any more questions? Thank you, Danny. So Chief Heineken, who won the arm twisting over there, you or Chief Dutra? You're going up, Chief Heineken. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Just a few things from the fire department to report in the last couple weeks. This last Saturday, we had our firefighter 1 academy do their state testing here at the fire station. Tremendous outcome. They all did amazingly well, as what I've been reported by multiple sources. And even more so than just the students doing well, one of our biggest struggles we have when we do these testings is it takes evaluators to do the process. And it's a struggle sometimes to find evaluators that are at the certification level to do that. We had 10 students go through and we had 24 evaluators show up Saturday, which is unheard of. We have never experienced that type of ratio, which made it go extremely well because we could set up multiple stations with so many evaluators. So yeah, big thank you to the organizers, the teachers, the students, and most of all, those that came out on test data to help. Those evaluators really helped.
Chief?
Yes.
But these are volunteer firefighters that now have been qualified to be firefighter 1.
Yep. So our firefighter 1 academy annually is in conjunction with CTC UAF and North Star Volunteer Fire Department. So it's a mix of students from each agency. The majority is actually CTC university students. And yes, in the final outcome is their state of Alaska IFSAC certifications for firefighter 1. Yeah, we do that every year with CTC. Some years we've done it in the fall, some years we've done it in the spring.
How many from our department?
I believe we had 3 from our department this go around. I'd have to check for sure, but I'm pretty sure there was 3. Yeah, there's been so much activity going on. We've had that in the EMT class and then preparing for these apprentices and everything. There's been a lot going on. But yeah, tremendously successful. Our partnership with those 2 organizations is working really well, and it's a real benefit to us because, you know, it is hard to put volunteers through these courses. It gets expensive and time consuming. So coming together and doing it with partners like that, take the burden off just one agency. We can share that load. So yeah, happy to report it went so well. The next thing I have is our applications for our full-time firefighter position that was opening is closed. And I'm happy to report that we're seeing improvements there. We've had 7 applicants, 7 good applicants, which I believe last year, I think it was last year about this time was the last time we had actually put out for this hiring list that we do. And if I remember correctly, we only had 4 at that point that had applied. So yeah, we've got more applicants this go around, very qualified applicants. So we're really happy with that. So we'll be busy over the next few weeks doing the testing process and interview process. And then what we do is the hiring list, we put them all together. They're ranked through the process. And then we put together the hiring list. We have 1 opening currently where we have 1 firefighter whose last day is May 9th. So we should be able to fill that one pretty quickly after he leaves. So another good thing to be able to report is I did mention at the last council meeting that the apprentice applications had closed. And I was incorrect. We did not have 7 applicants. We had 9 applicants. And then we actually had one more that contacted us a day late that was interested in, and we had to tell them they'd missed the deadline. So, so yeah, very successful there too. So today, this afternoon, actually started the interview process for those apprentices. We're doing those a little differently because obviously most of these applicants are still in high school. So, we can't schedule them for the middle of the day. So we're scheduling them in the afternoon hours. 3 at a time. And so we interviewed 3 today, and then Wednesday and Thursday we'll interview the other 6 candidates.
Would it be inappropriate to ask at this point, has there ever been a point of time where you think some people are so close you might need to go with 4? I'm telling you that from my own experience of cooperative education and air traffic control. We were given 8, but we had 2 people that were so close, they gave me 9.
I couldn't tell you. I've purposely I've turned over the application process and that process to Assistant Chief Chambers. So he's running that process and he will come to me in the end with how they rank. So I couldn't tell you how close they are. I believe we've got, 9 great individuals that, definitely have potential. The one thing that I hadn't announced yet, I don't believe, but that we're talking over is because we do have volunteer firefighters at the North Pole Fire Department. We've seen such interest that we know we've budgeted to do 3 apprentices. What we're willing to offer, and we've made this clear to all of the applicants, not most of them, all of the applicants, that we will probably offer the top 3 the paid positions, and then the next 3 in that list that they could voluntarily participate in this apprenticeship program. So we potentially could have 6 this summer that's going through that, is what we're planning for. So yeah, that's what we're potentially, I mean, there's no way to say if any of the applicants would be willing to take it on a voluntary basis, and there'd be different expectations once we get through the academy side. It would
Be the downside if they did take the voluntary basis. Isn't it a plus side, any way you look at
there's
it?
definitely a plus side. I mean, the first 8 weeks of the program is virtually another State of Alaska Firefighter 1 Academy. That's a 12 credit course at the university. And I don't know what credit hours are going for right now, but I believe that's worth $3,000 to $4,000 in credit hours at the university. So for them just to participate that first 2 months, they would receive that State of Alaska certification. And then immediately following that is when we enroll them into an EMT 1 class that is worth, I believe, 6 credit hours if you took it through the university. So there's education benefits that all of our volunteers, not just these apprentices, all of our volunteers have that ability to take these courses at some time through the year at no charge to them other than their time. That's what our department offers them. So it's definitely a benefit.
More questions for the chief? Thank you for,
Thank you.
appreciate the outlook. Chief Dutra, guess what? It's good to have you back.
So I'll have the stats for you at the next council meeting. I didn't get a chance to get all that cuddled together before the meeting, but bring you up to speed on that. And I do want to mention that John McBroom is doing well at the academy. Don't want to brag, but he is #1 in both PT and academics. But what would we expect? But so anyway, we did have 2 large busts in the drug unit recently. I know I had sent one to the council a little while back telling you about how what they had done, but we just got another one the other day where they seized a kilo of cocaine and $75,000 of cash. So very busy. They have probably more work to do than they have time. So picking these and choosing which ones to follow and not follow is always a tough call. But that just goes to show you, even in our little tiny community, there's a lot of this stuff rolling around. So that, like I said before, that big initial huge seizure came from a traffic stop inside our city on one of our officers. So big deal. I want to shout out to Detective Cash for his amazing work over the last many months, tracking down victims and coordinating interviews. Got a true bill and finally got an extradition on the suspect back from Florida to stand trial. And that was in the newspaper. It made the newspaper the other day. We did a press release on that. But it was a lot of work and many months of hard work coordinating suspects, other agencies, getting interviews, reaching out to other churches and such in order to get additional evidence. But the suspect is now incarcerated on 3 charges of SAM 2 and 2 counts of distribution of sexual material of a minor. So excellent job he did, deserves kudos, worked hard on that, and super proud of all his efforts. Again, just talking about the time it takes for someone to put a case like that together, not having that detective would just have been a very, very difficult case for our department to work. So just, I thank the council for their support year after year for keeping that position, because it's so important, for doing things like this. And so it's a big deal. Today I went to town and did a presentation to our dispatchers at FECC. We gave them a plaque, and it is National Dispatcher Call Taker Week. We want to let them know that we really appreciate their hard work, give them a big thank you from the citizens of North Pole, to tell them really what they do is important. We posted it out on Facebook for people to see. So, super happy. They were extremely happy and very thankful for the plaque. We also gave them a bunch of trinkets and treats and cups and patches and coins and stuff like that they could give away to their dispatchers to show them how much we appreciate them. So I think we one-upped every other department in the area, so that was pretty cool. Not that that's why we did it, but we did it because we love our dispatchers. They got a hard job, so just remember to shout out to them. Trying to remind everybody of the run, walk, run, walk, cheer, do whatever you want to do, crawl like me across the finish line. We're just come eat some hot dogs and barbecue and support North Pole PD and the Special Olympic athletes. That's on May 18th at Chena Lakes at 10. Starts at 10. You can come early, set up, help with stuff maybe. You can also volunteer if you want to. Team North Pole has been formed, is on the Special Olympics. You can come donate. I donate to whoever you want, but if you donate to me, that'd be nice. My daughter and I always have a competition, so she's trying to outraise me. So
Who wins?
she usually does.
Yep. Yes.
Ron Rady usually donates to her just to make me look bad. Mayor Welch has also been asked to be there, formally been requested to be there to do his best and attend that ceremony. We really appreciate his support. So also next we have to announce obviously Police Memorial Day, which is on the day before, which is on 17th at 11 o'clock at the Trooper Gabrich, Trooper Scott Johnson Memorial Park. Both of these events are a pretty heavy lift. We participate in both and helping getting everything together. I am on the APOA board, local board, so we work with, do the torch run, get all the barbecue, the volunteers, get all that stuff organized, as well as our barbecue after the event on Saturday. On Friday, we'll have a barbecue back at the station after the 11 o'clock ceremony. So you come by here and have hot dogs and mingle and just chit chat and burgers and hot dogs. So anyway, it's kind of a nice event. Just invite everybody to come. It's an honor to have this ceremony every year here in North Pole now. So we have finished the first phase of accreditation process, and boy, it's a lot of work. On top of all the other things the lieutenant's doing, he's been doing this, he's been crunching away at it. I keep putting pressure on him from time to time to keep it up, keep on going, and he finally pushed through the first phase. So now the next phase for accreditation will be for him and I both to sit down and go back through every policy and start rewriting these policies to bring them up to acceptance. So he's done everything from the first step is basically you get all the policies inserted into the system. And then when you have a document or a photograph of what this policy says we do, we have to document that we actually do it, like say a storage of personnel files. We have to have a picture of the locked personnel files and where they're located and describe all that. And we submit a picture to it. So it's a lot of putting pieces together into the system to show them that we are following the rules that we have written down, not just saying that we do. Now we have to go back through there when there's some vagueness in our policy, or there are some policies that are probably not exactly what I would do in the statewide policy project, because the small department has a hard time maintaining policies on everything that's changing across our country. So we have to go in there and specifically update policies to meet the new standards that may be either adopted as best practices by most agencies or has been changed, in some federal guideline somewhere. So that takes work, takes time, and we have a lot of policies. So the onus will be on me to write those policies and bring them up to speed. So stay tuned. We're getting there. Not as fast as we thought, but we'll get there. Evaluations were mostly complete. Went on their way to Maggie shortly. I've got a few more to do, and we'll get those done, but those are almost complete for all the employees. 2023. We've had defensive tactics and CPR AED training for the most of the department. I haven't because I was gone, so I'll get those done here shortly. I do want to thank the support of the mayor and the council for my time being away, and I appreciate you being there and prayers and such. I did try to balance my responsibilities with my work and my obligations to family and such. So again, I couldn't do it without your support, and I'm very thankful. So, just a reminder, just a word about, I haven't shared with the council. I'll send out the link if you're interested, but we just had a huge conviction of Jeremy Williams in Alabama. He was just convicted the other day on the sexual assault and murder of Kamari, who was 5 years old, and he is likely to face extradition back to Alaska to stand trial for the murder of his daughter here in North Pole in 2006. So we will likely see closure finally on that case.
What was she, chief?
She was a month old. Yeah.
Talking about somebody who actually was boiling a child in a pot too, were we not?
Was accused of that too, yeah. So
Boiling somebody in a pot of water.
he's confessed to all of his
All kinds
crimes
of crime.
and just faced a jury, basically a kind of a mini trial, because in Alabama, you can't, even if you plead guilty and you want to plead, you can't get the death penalty unless a jury, orders the death penalty. So that's what occurred. So he's going to get the death penalty in Alabama. So anyway, that's and hopefully the next step is they extradite him back to Alaska, have him stand trial for that, and hopefully get some closure on that. Big case that involved our department many years ago. So the sewer backup, kudos to the Public Works, they're doing a good job, and they've been in there and swinging away at us and watching contractors, and we just been pulling together and getting it all done. It was a mess when I got back, and we do have some ideas on how to stop this from happening again. It is my understanding from talking to Buddy Lane that the sewer system in that building is backed up since it was built. So we think we need to, we've got some things in place to help stop that from happening in the future. So and that one big thing would be to upgrade the generator system to a closed radiator and not one that expels the hot water into the sewer system in the building. That's what overwhelmed the system and caused a backup. So we're going to put that on the agenda as an SHSP item next year, because it is too small anyway to carry the load of both buildings, the new one and the old one. So we will do that. Hopefully stop it from happening. But things are coming along, and I do appreciate Danny and his folks' efforts on that, as well as the clerk. She's been very busy, and Tricia helping out with all that. So the speed signs, Mayor, and we ordered them this last year. They've arrived. They're here in the department. There are, we have 5. Our plan was to put these speed signs. They're basically signs like you see all over the place where they flash if you're going too fast. So we were going to put up 4 different locations, but I assigned it to our new traffic officer, and based off his assessment, he thinks that we should put 2 signs in one location and 2 signs in another location, Santa Claus and St. Nick, and then use the other one as a mobile sign, or maybe purchase more in the future, but having signs one on each side of a pole.
Sign.
Yeah, that way, if they're both oncoming and and leaving, so it's going to use up most of our signs. But I think those 2 areas need them, especially with the building of 3 Bears. That's going to make a big difference. And I gave Mayor a couple of pictures of our places we'd like to see put those signs. So
One's in front of the post office and the others as you pass Barbara Lee on St. Nicholas Road by Lord of Life Lutheran.
yeah, perfect spots. Both of them high traffic, high speed issues. They're not high speed, but speeding issues. And then the other one's a portable one. It's really heavy, but it's called a portable. But we're working on how to get that up and down off a pole and get moving around the city. There is an additional expense that we didn't know about, getting some software upgrades to be able to download those things wirelessly rather than having to pull them, go plug into them every day. So stay stay tuned for that. That's all I got. A lot of other stuff happening, but
So I'd like to acknowledge Public Works actually got the signs, which was nice. They went into their budget and got the signs. So I think you can have them up before Memorial Day, can't you?
yes, we just get, once we have that, now that we have the locations identified, we're gonna get an estimate on installing them, so.
I like
Yeah,
to make
that's
the announcement on KJMP so people are forewarned a month in advance. Hey, it's not like we're ticketing you. They don't take pictures of you. It's helping you take care of your lead foot.
Well, they do flash like they're
They
taking
do
the
flash.
pictures.
I know they do.
Mm,
They probably could if they were geared up to do it, but state law doesn't allow that. So,
No,
yeah, but it's trying to get people to understand, slow down. For those who don't know, we actually had state DOT do traffic studies for us. And that's more than a year and a half ago. And one of the things that was amazing, you would think that the portion of St. Nicholas Drive from St. Nicholas Catholic Church to Busby would have been faster, but it was actually from the traffic circle here to Fifth Avenue that was actually faster. People going as fast as 63 miles per hour in a 30 and 52 miles per hour in a 40. So but the average speeds were all above what they should be. And so people have, we're challenged. How many do we have on traffic patrol at any given time? This is helping to remind somebody to slow down.
correct.
Any questions for Chief Tutor? Any concerns? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Glad to see you. Oh, Chief, and one thing too, I may have a conflict on May 17th because at 11 o'clock when you have at the park, that would be where I'd put my preference. But at 10 o'clock, I'm supposed to start the Tiger Team meeting, which I could sit out in the park as long as I got 5G network. I can start doing it on Zoom and say I need to get to the front of the meeting and then leave at 11 o'clock because I'll already be at the park. But I'll make sure I'm there. Thank you. No, they can't do that because you got people from DC and state legislature and all that. They come to that. So a lot of it's not done in the Salter room. Now we move on. Madam Clerk, what do you have for us tonight?
I just wanted to highlight that there are 253 days left till Christmas. Also that there's an Economic Development Committee meeting this week at 7 o'clock here in council chambers. I just wanted to put that up there. In February, we had, Maggie came to a staff meeting and she reported to department heads the training that they can have their employees do. It will create a 5% credit based on annual work comp, general liability, and property coverage. Many of our departments have fully complied and filled out all the paperwork. Any department heads that haven't finished their paperwork, I'm throwing it out there. We'll be happy to receive those. The savings looks like $27,000, so it's not any tiny savings. The compliance, the training, it wasn't super difficult, but we'd love to receive all of those before the end of June.
Sure.
Is this the AML JIA required mandatory training, ergonomics,
Yes,
slips, trips, falls?
Correct.
be in compliance.
Yeah.
Well,
So you
just-
have to have 100% of the employees trained to get that.
Correct. And if we can get everybody, it's a nice 5% credit. And it quite possibly some of the training was done in past years, but not fully submitted for the discount. So Maggie and I would really like for all department heads to get their departments to fill
When's the deadline again?
the end of June.
End of June.
Anyways, it's
And
the-
AML provides the information sheets. It's just a matter of getting your employees to sign in, give the list of the attendees to the clerk. Anybody who's absent, they can have read it and sign off that they've done it. It's pretty easy to do that.
It's 4 trainings. Is it 4 or 5? Yeah,
Or required.
they're relatively, they're not hard is what I'm trying to say, but the savings is pretty significant. So we would love everybody to get those submitted.
There's 3 pages of reading material. That's it per lesson.
Um, and other than that, I just wanted to highlight that it's Christmas all year round. Hurry up, get your shopping done. And help Maggie and I get that 5% discount for the city. And the next is borough report.
Borough representative report. Do we have a borough rep?
Oh, yeah, I went down. Well, I went down and I commented on, let me get my phone up here. A minute.
You gave cruise ship briefing?
No, I didn't. I just told him I went on a cruise. She go. I talked about our public works and how, our department, has this, what is it? Its program that generate much interest. And the high school graduations, North Pole has happy employees in all department. It's really a Christmas all year long here in North Pole. And I got one question asked, how are you doing? I said, you're fine, you're back in the ship and got everything going. Barbara asked that question.
That was as of that day too.
You saw it that day?
No, but that was of that date that the doctor said, go back full time.
Oh, okay. And I gave them that and that was good. They kind of asked me on the fire department. They thought that was a good program, real good program. So we're doing something good that I think they might copy. Keep it short and sweet.
Any questions for the borough rep? Madam Clerk, anything from Maggie?
No, Maggie and I went over the report prior to the meeting.
So that closes item 9. I'll turn to Jeff. You want to do anything on ongoing projects report, even if it's just announcing that we're meeting?
We had a really good meeting last month. We decided to skip the first one in April because one of our community members was having surgery. And so we wanted to make sure that he would be there for our meeting this Thursday at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. We'll be finishing up reading the North Pole Strategic Plan objectives regarding economic development, and then coming up with some ideas of what we want to be doing in the near future, mid-range and long range. One of the things that we'll be discussing is for later on in the summer, coming up with a possible tour route for our military families to come to North Pole, especially working with the school district so that they can see the middle school, the high school for those parents. Just a way of just kind of showcasing what North Pole is, our beautiful library, things like that, so that they feel comfortable coming into our community. So that's something we'll be working on ongoing. And open to the public.
Council too.
Yep.
Have that meeting noticed. So. Good. Any questions for Mr. Jacobson? So items 11 is nil and item 12 we consented. So now we're going to go to council comments. Madam Clerk, who goes first?
Mr. Skips.
Yeah, I just want to thank all North Pole employees. Just thanks for all you do. Keep up the good work. That's all I have.
And Mr. Jacobson.
I have nothing to say.
What?
253 shopping days left till Christmas. And Mr. Williams.
I see I got a lot of catching up to do with everything that's going on, but it's very interesting. I had a good cruise. The wife is planning. I won't say what, but she's planning. And all I do is say, yes, dear. And we got a lot to do with what's going on, as well as what's going on in the world. We just got to make it right for us here in North Pole, and we can do that. I always say work together as a team, always help each other. Because sometimes I see things that you might see, and you definitely see things that I don't see. So we got to do it as a team to make things better for us, because we want individuals to come here, and they will. If we do right, I just say, if we build it, they'll come, right? So that's what we got to do. And that encompass attitude, responsibility, and doing what's right for everybody and treating everybody the same. We got to do that. There's so much of that's not going on. I'm taking up too much time. There's so much of that's not going on that we need to really look at. And sometimes we have to, what's the word? Because every now and then I get chastised, trust me, by the wife, and to put me on the right path. And sometimes we have to chastise other individuals in a nice way and then put them on the path also. So don't be afraid if you see me doing something wrong. Benny, this is what we need to do. You shouldn't do that way. Oh, okay, I'll think about it, make it work. But sometimes some people don't take criticism very good. We gotta recognize that. Me, doesn't bother me. Just tell me what I did wrong, I'll fix it and I'll make it work. That's all I got to say.
Mr. Keller?
I share excitement for the economic development group that's being formed. And I echo Mr. Benny's comments. If we build it, they will come. And we've got some hurdles to go through, but I don't think North Pole is unique with some of those hurdles. I think all of Alaska, especially interior, has some of the same hurdles of what to do to attract good people to come and to stay. I don't think it's an easy answer. That's why many eyes on the prize and many brains together. Hopefully we can have some good thoughts of what we can do. I'm excited where North Pole as a city is going. Kudos to all the employees for doing what they can and lifting where they stand. Because for as small of a community as we have, we're making a huge impact on the community around us. So for all of the department heads, if you could share our appreciation collectively as a whole city council for your employees, that'd be fantastic. Because we're a small enough city that it doesn't take much to run effectively. But with the numbers that we do have, we're making huge impacts. And I hope this is going to be a ripple effect for those communities around us, namely Fairbanks and the borough, that we can kind of continue with good changes in the community as a whole of how we can work together for the greater good and how we can increase the effectiveness of communication, how to get things done. And it doesn't necessarily mean we all always have to agree on things, but if we can come to understand what we all know, understand, and where we're coming from because of passions and likes and disinterests and everything like that, we can come together with a unified voice, and that's important. So, and I cherish the opportunity to be on this council and to see discussions and to see even disagreements come together for one common good, and that is the common good of our community. So, once again, thank you, and I pass.
Ms. Clack?
Thank you. I'll pick up the mic. I want to thank everybody for the city of North Pole and all their hard work, their happiness and the joys that they're sharing. And with that being said, let me put out a couple of reminders. The Chamber of Commerce for North Pole's luncheon will be on the 25th at the hotel. You call Pagodas and place your order, they will deliver it for you. The main thing I really want us to remember, as my partner to my left said, if we come together, we all need to come together for cleanup day on the 11th. With that, we're going to have somebody come out and help tow cars and vehicles off your property, which the chamber is helping put that together as well. So hopefully by on our website, we'll have some more information for you for that. With the cleanup, there will be some people out in the parking lot that will take your information as well, from my understanding. And that will be on the 11th. Please get out and try to help get your yards and the city of North Pole and our part of our highways cleaned up. And those vehicles as well off your property. With that, we also have on the 18th of May, you have the Spring Bazaar. That'll be taking place over in the North Pole Plaza Mall. And Cruising with Santa, that's the best part, seeing all those cars over there and all those nice intricate pieces of things that people have made. The most important date with this for May 17th, please don't forget, is our fallen soldier Memorial Day Park, okay, at 11 o'clock. And then you also have on May 18th, the Chena Lakes Run. That'll start at 10. All these dates are important to all of us. Some way or another, we need to come out for that. The other thing we need to remember too, and Julie Swisser was here for, was the fire alarm. The alarms going off in people's homes, which they are going to help if you need a fire alarm or whatever for your place. And that will also be posted for you to be able to get help and assistance. And some of us on our council is going to try to be there to help. So hopefully we get to see people we haven't seen most of the winter because it was cold and snow. And then some of us will get to see everybody at Safeways one time or another. So that's all I have to say for tonight, and I hope everybody have a good evening.
I just have a question for the clerk. Can you make sure that a lot of these things are on our website, the calendar items, so that people know about the North Pole Plaza Bazaar, they know about the Community Cleanup Day, the the Police Memorial Day, and then also the Chena Lakes Torch Run for Special Olympics, and to support Team North Pole. Just, I don't know, when you put that webpage up there, if there's a place where they could look.
Can put it on the calendar, and it doesn't have to be it can be the whole community calendar. It's not just a public meeting calendar. I think that'd
be good just for people to have a central location to go there.
Yeah, the calendar on the website, I can pull it up. If you guys want me to.
Yeah, can you? And with that, I did forget 3 more things that needed to be added. And I am so sorry. I know you all want to go home, but bear with me.
You're not going home.
I had the opportunity to be in the watershed meeting, Zoom, and they have a big art show, Adopt a Stream, coming up on May 18th. The Storm Drain Art, which is coming up on June 1st. They're looking for more participants. And that there will be a flyer for that particular contest. It is a contest that takes place. And I think they said they only had, what, 2 contestants, Danny? Yeah, I think it was 2. But they usually have like 4 or 5. So they are looking for more contestants to be in this.
And that's in Fairbanks or in North Pole?
Whole borough.
The whole borough. So this, from my understanding, will be in July 1st. No, June 1st. This one's June 1st. And then the storm drain for the river cleanup is June 8th at 90.
Is it July?
No, it says June 8th
Okay.
at 9 o'clock, holding the flyer. I may make some mistakes, but I'm trying to read them right off.
It's cleaning up Noise Slough.
Yeah.
On June 8th.
Right.
And June 1st is Stormwater Art in
Right.
Fairbanks.
Thank you, Jeff, for repeating that for me. So that's where we are. And we'll make sure that our clerk has these to put on the website as well, if at all possible.
Danny did put the stream cleanup day here under latest news events
Okay, thank you, Danny.
on the calendar, which is go to How Do I events and meetings. I can put all of those events on the community events calendar. Yes, and it'll be there on the website. I'll do it tomorrow morning.
All
If
right,
you guys
thank
want to
you.
check on that, I'll populate all the information.
I think Cruising with Santa is great. I mean, it's grown every year.
Yes.
I think the more that we can get it out there, it'd be wonderful.
Right.
I'll be happy to put that on the events calendar.
Madam Clerk, and anyone here on the council that will know this, one of the best places we can advertise is on the marquee sitting over there as you go around the traffic circle. It needs to be on there. It flashes up, people could still read it. We still have a few dark hours or not so much bright light that the sun washes it out, especially if we're cruising with Santa. It should already be on there.
Doesn't the community know?
I do have the chambers attached to our website with the community develop, or with the,
We need it on that marquee out there on the traffic circle.
I
So
don't-
people were
not inside.
not indoors.
Yeah, on your
And
North
I'll do
Pole,
it over the radio too.
your North Pole Economic Development Committee, I have a link right in there to go to the chamber. So like people can go right to the North Pole Chamber, North Pole Community Chamber of Commerce from the North Pole Economic Development Committee event that I have built into the calendar. And that brings us to Mayor Welch. Did you have any comments tonight?
Of course I do. So let me first go to something that was brought to our attention and clean the stream. The borough used to pay for 50 T-shirts. And they need to have 100 shirts now because they have so many people that participate. So we do have an opportunity as a community to, and I can present that to you guys, or I can just look that we budgeted for things like this to be able to buy the shirts. I think, did they tell us they were $16 a
Ex-
piece?
I thought it was,
$16 a piece,
no, I thought she said the total cost on it would be,
$1,600.
yeah, $1,600.
For 100 times
Right,
16 is
correct.
$16.
They're cleaning up just. Sponsor.
It was the 20th anniversary of it, and actually I was involved with a group called the Squires before the 20th anniversary, about a year before that. So we actually were cleaning up all up and down. So how it got to where it's only the noise slew, I don't know. But we could still be a sponsor to it so that people who participate will come out and give hours and hours of their Saturday to be out there. And I think it's a good thing for us to do. And I have it built into my budget to do that. Where was I going to go next? In looking at certain things that we need that would really help in this community, and I'll be there on the 18th. I hope we're in good form physically and mentally and emotionally for that. I think one of the things that I used to admire about the North Pole Community Chamber of Commerce was they actually held a voters forum. When I first was elected to mayor in 18, they held a really nice one at the Santa Senior Center. So I'm going to urge them to go back to that because it was probably one of the more fair and a good service to the community to know we've actually had people sit before us and want to know how come you don't have a D or an R or whatever after your name, and they don't understand that Alaska statute won't allow it. We're nonpartisan. And so that's where we're supposed to be. And that's a happy place to be for me, at least. I don't care to get all this divisiveness. So on Wednesday, I went, and I won't mention who, but I went to somebody who's going to run for borough mayor, and I went to their kickoff, and I went after hours because it is a partisan event. So I didn't represent the city of North Pole, but I went to hear what was said. And it was really surprising what has been said about how the cities are now realizing that somehow it ever got out of hand that the borough was going to tell them they couldn't participate. They can't say this, they can't say that. That's going to have to change. So that person who's running for borough mayor knows that that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to change the hearts of the assembly, change the minds of the assembly to say, you know, I mean, I'm always proud to say there's something older than me around here, and that's the city of North Pole. Can you tell me when the city started? Anton? No, I mean, the exact date,
1953, January 11th,
January 16th.
16th.
It's older than me. It's 20 months older than me. So there is something older than me around here, just to let you know. But that's good because the city of Fairbanks, I know you know what the city of Fairbanks, right?
1903.
Yeah. city of Fairbanks. So what came first, the city or the borough? We gave certain powers to the borough, but not for them to step all over us. So that's starting to come to the limelight. So, when you find that you're not being properly accepted when you go as a borough representative, come back and tell us that. And they're going to start to understand that that's not going to be allowed in the future. We're going to have to put an end to it. But the next borough mayor is going to have to do what they can do to see that we come together, not be stepped all over. You're not spending your time to go there to be stepped on. So that's important to me. Some of the issues that I mentioned earlier tonight, I won't go back over them, but I will say this as everybody's trying to pack up, is that we have an opportunity to showcase our city. And I don't mean just to the Air Force, and I don't just mean to the Army, but I mean to the people who are brand new coming here. Because when I came here looking in 98, I knew almost a year in advance I was coming to this city. I was being assigned to the Fairbanks Airport. There was absolutely no webpage. There was absolutely, even though that was still considered pretty new back then, there was nothing ever about the city of North Pole. It's only because I did as much searching as I could on the internet that I actually came here. How times have changed. So if you have anything to add to your bio, if you don't have a bio, please get it to the clerk so people know who their elected officials are. And with that, I have no more comments. I'm glad to be able to come together tonight. Madam Clerk?
We are at adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Skip, seconded by, all right.
Okay, at 45.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Good night. Thanks for coming in, Clint.
Mr. Mayor, you said